Good evening. Good evening. We'd like to call this Board Insurance Committee meeting to order. The meeting is beginning, so we have a lot of folks outside in the hallway. If you want to work your way in, it'd be a good opportunity this time. First order of business is selection of a committee chairperson. That item is on the agenda for our vote tonight. I would like to say that it's been a true pleasure serving as the committee chairman for the Insurance Committee, Board Insurance Committee, and I'd like to take the pleasure to nominate Mr. Tommy Angel as the committee chairperson. Second. Okay. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Thank you very much. At this point, I'd like to recognize Mona, who will give us a little brief overview of some of the things that we're looking for. Mona? And heavy on the brief.
Yes, absolutely. I just made a list of services that we desire from a partner who will administer voluntary benefits, as well as some expectations. This is not all inclusive, but these are very important to me and the staff. The company must provide local, personalized, ongoing service to employees after enrollment period, such as assisting employees with filing claims for cancer benefits, disability benefits, and so forth. The company must have a technology platform that interfaces with our Alio payroll system for paper-free exchange of payroll deduction information. We desire a company that offers a portal for employees to self-enroll or make changes in benefit elections. The company must have enough enrollers to cover all schools during the 8 weeks of open enrollment. The company must commit to conferring with LPSS staff prior to shopping the market for benefits to determine the group's needs and meet with the staff and the Employee Insurance Advisory Committee to select the benefits at least 30 days prior to open enrollment. We expect the enrollers to be patient with employees and take the time needed with employees who need assistance. We expect enrollers to work collaboratively with the schools in scheduling and setting up for open enrollment. And finally, we anticipate in the future we may add enrollment in the medical plan as part of the services, wherein enrollment data is sent both to us and to Blue Cross Blue Shield, and any company's ability to provide this service should be a consideration. Thank you.
Ms. Morris?
Mr. Chairman, just because of the nature of the meeting and what we're trying to accomplish here, I have some recommendations on perhaps how we can keep things moving along. As you said, we want to be heavy on the brief. There are a couple of questions that I would ask. Well, let me start here. First, I think that we need to perhaps have a goal of 12 to 15 minutes total for each company who is presenting, which would include any presentation they want to make, but also specific questions that we are going to have for them. And so along those lines, I would recommend 5 to 6 minutes of a presentation, hopefully addressing those expectations that Ms. Bernard just read and the questions I'm about to give you. And then 5 to 6 minutes to answer the questions that we have for each company specifically. And our goal, again, is to not be here all night. And also next week there is an employee committee meeting, and I believe that you will all be invited to make presentations there, and you can do more detailed presentations to the employees who are going to be the beneficiaries of this plan. So that would be my recommendation, Mr. Chairman, to kind of keep things moving along. And I would personally like these companies to really drill down to the particular areas that we're interested in. I'm sure they all offer fantastic services, but those services may not be pertinent to what we're looking for here today. So,
you want to give them? You want to mention some of the?
I am. So if we can kind of get that time drilled down, I would ask that each of you address these questions specifically during your presentation portion. One, how many school districts do you currently service? Tell us how you will enroll 4,100 plus active employees beginning in October, so next month. Tell us whether your company employs your enrollers, and are they salaried or commissioned? Does your company have a local office and local representation? And I think what we are thinking of, I think what we mean by local is Lafayette Parish. And then last, are you a true broker, meaning are you an insurance company, or are you owned by an insurance company? Can you represent all of the voluntary carriers that offer products in this industry? All right, so those are the questions, if you can address those during your presentation. And then we do have a few other questions that we'll ask. Should we let them all do their presentations first and then the questions after their short presentations?
Mr. Dalgo?
That was going to be my question, if you agree and allow. Let's let everyone present, because, you know, we don't want to have to ask, we may not have the same questions for everyone.
Yeah.
And with 5 companies, again, this is important, so we want to take time to do it, but we don't want to be here I'm not going to be here for 5 hours, so let's try to be efficient. So I think letting everyone present, and then we could, you know, I'll be taking notes, and then we can call them back up. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. So maybe the presentation part could be around 6 minutes-ish. And then, and I think if everybody kind of focuses in on those expectations and the questions, then there shouldn't be any problem. Once you're up talking, that time seems longer than it sounds.
Mr. Hidalgo, would you be so kind as to keep time for us?
Yes.
You weren't waiting for that one? All right, then we will begin with the presentations, and we'll accept the presenters in alphabetical order. The first of which will be Dupree Carrier Gacha, in partnership with the Gallagher Company. Step up to the podium. Make sure the little green light is on the mic.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. We sure appreciate the opportunity to be here. In a spirit of time, we're definitely going to try to keep this to 6 minutes. I'm known to talk a lot, so I'm going to try to quit doing that. We did provide a PowerPoint presentation, and first I'd like to thank Ms. Mona for at least attempting to answer maybe 5 or 6 of our questions prior to us getting here, so we're somewhat prepared to be able to answer that. The presentation absolutely addresses all of your questions. To go ahead and just hit that list right away, Arthur J. Gallagher is the 3rd largest consulting company in the world. We do have presence in Lafayette. We have a Lafayette office. We are in partnership with Dupree Carrier Gacha. We have an Opelousas office. Some of our folks are housed in a Mandeville office. We are publicly traded. However, what we like to say is that we believe in culture. We believe in taking a holistic approach. Answering your questions, I think, is definitely the best way to go. We're not an insurance company, and we're not a TPA. We do have our own technology. We have a self-serve portal. We have proprietary portals, and we also have the ability to go outside of our walls for TPA services when we find that that's a better fit. Shopping, we have a voluntary specialist department. I brought Walter Spring with me. He is the individual who heads up that department and is very involved in the day-to-day activities of the enrollments. Our enrollers, I'm going to let Walter speak on that in just a moment. Sometimes we do go outside the walls of Gallagher and bring in 1099 people. Typically they don't earn commissions. They're paid a flat day rate for enrolling. We do a number of school boards. We're going to provide you with a reference list. We actually have a niche. I have Kim Briard with me today. She's a niche specialist. She represents higher education. We believe that we understand school districts and the challenges they're in. We understand the culture from the cafeteria plan worker to the school teacher to the superintendent to the board members, and we understand that it's a diverse organization, and certainly we believe that we actually sort of fussed and argued about how much time were we going to spend on taking the approach of asking you questions versus just telling you what we can provide. We are a full-service voluntary benefits operation. We do electronic feeds. We enroll people on proprietary systems, external systems. We have what we call benefit advocates units that answer questions. We have walk-ins units. We can do group enrollments. We can do one-on-one enrollments. We can do a combination thereof. We have telephonic resources. We can use telephones. We can use email blast. Again, you drive this ship. So often we're involved in a RFP, RFQ right now for 20,000 employees. We're actually going through what we call the discovery phase, which takes sometimes a couple of months. We understand that you're in a bind. Can we get our boots on the ground and get running and get this thing enrolled? Absolutely. But what we'd like to do is to create a timeline and share that with you and come up with what your objectives are on a long-term basis. So what we think is the way that you might enroll today might not be the way that you're going to roll in 6 months or 12 months from now. We've reviewed as much information as we can. We saw your website. We note that you're one of the school systems that I believe is not one of the school systems that only believes in transparency, but you're rolling out a website that creates transparency. Gallagher's fees are transparent. We tell you exactly how we're being compensated and where the compensation is coming from. We've looked at the benefits. We know what benefit offerings you have. We have relationships with all of those companies, and we know that we can either work with them or we can work with other companies as well. In the spirit of the questions, collaboration, that's all we do. We believe that we're an extension of your organization. It's just that simple. If I don't sit down and ask you 200 questions and try to get into your head as to what you're looking for, we're going to fail, maybe just like the previous TPA and administrators and consultants. So that's the way that we train our organization. That's what we do. Saying that, I don't have time to go through the PowerPoint presentation. It's very methodical. It's based on phases: the exploratory phase, the pre-enrollment phase, the enrollment phase, the post-enrollment phase. And with that, it will wrap itself around you and provide you, with everything that you need. Enrolling employees is different today. It's not done the same way that it was before. Nobody can take the paper. So we already are, on a global basis, interfacing with insurance companies. We have Scott Forsang here today, who's head of IT. We bring in the IT and the HR technology folks. We get familiar with your HRIS and your payroll system, because some of the technology that's out there, it's just like a cell phone. It might be good today and not necessarily as good tomorrow. So we're going to come back and share with you what we think fits the best. Kind of speaking, am I out? No.
I'll let you wrap up.
No, okay.
You got about 30
very
seconds.
Much. I appreciate that. Saying that, I want my team to say something. Do you guys have 2 seconds to add anything that I've failed to remember? Kim?
The only thing I would say is just being a part of the higher ed niche. We focus on education systems pretty much all day. We have a lot of experience in this area. And on the technology side, we are feeding to the big carriers in the state. So our feeds are going to Blue Cross. They're going to all the large carriers from a technology system. We know that sometimes that's a challenge, but we're currently doing that for quite a bit companies in Louisiana.
And I guess in summary, we are promoting and we're serving self-serve portals, but we're also doing that with the idea of wrapping around that portal with one-on-one enrollments, group enrollments, communication class, etc. Not everybody's in the technology world. We very much appreciate the opportunity to be here, and hopefully we can chat with you guys more. Thank you.
You're very welcome, and thank you.
Is the Q&A going to be later, or okay, great. Okay.
Next up will be educational benefits. we're not going to start your time until you get started.
Let's not worry about it.
Yeah.
It's not going to be enough time to really. Yeah.
Trying.
Cannot play on this video, it says.
Yeah, that's okay.
Don't worry about it. Let's go. We can go ahead because we didn't. There's a lot of questions to answer. So.
Yeah. We'll go ahead and get started. My name is Shane Pennington with Educational Benefits. John Starling, principal owner with Educational Benefits as well. First of all, I want to thank members of the board and the committee for having us here this evening. A couple of things that we want to point out is our exclusive nature in the public school market with K-12. We've been in business for over 30 years now, exclusively working with public schools. Currently working with somewhere over 160 public school districts, serving over 50,000 insured. We do have an office here in Lafayette. It's over 143 Ridgeway. We've got people in that office. Some of those folks, we've got Kelly Cox, who is also a principal owner of the company there. We've got Michelle Vincent, who serves as administrative assistant, and then Skip Kovac will be serving as account executive for this account if we win the business. Account executive role will be the face of EBI, will be the conduit between Lafayette Parish School Boards and EBI. That's critical because he is local. All three of those folks are local. Skip lives in Sunset. He has an office here in Lafayette. There is an extended team that includes me and a group of other folks, but that is your local representation. A couple of the things that we want to make sure that you understand is that it's part of our nature, it is part of who we are to ramp up communication and education for employees. And we have a number of ways of doing that. Won't spend a lot of time on that, but I'll kind of go through that list of things. Obviously, we have the capability to do group employee meetings, custom benefit guides. I actually have copies of those, but I'll send those to you after the fact, just to stay with time. We will offer a custom web portal where your employees will be able to access their individual benefits at any time. They can use the technology to do that. We use enrollment surveys, post-enrollment surveys for our benefit consultants. Those are the guys that come out and do your one-on-one enrollment. It's very critical for us that we have those checks and balances in place. Why? Because we're human. And we want to know how our folks are doing. So when we finish an open enrollment, we send out a survey to all of your employees so that we can get that feedback, and we use that feedback to continuously improve. We also use video to announce our open enrollments. We have our own studio, and we are a full-service brokerage. So a lot of folks throw that around, a full-service brokerage, and the thing that I want you to get out of what that means is that we don't have to use a lot of third parties to do the things that we need to do to service Lafayette Parish School Board. So when it comes to marketing, we have our own marketing, we have our print shop, we have our own Ben admin team that builds our Ben admin systems. We have our own billing team internal to work directly with your internal payroll folks. So when we say full service, we don't like to go outside of our walls. It's just been who we are. We try to keep it internal. It's a lot easier to work that way. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to John. He's going to talk a little bit, I think, about our the way that we go about working with carriers, talk a little bit about our technology.
And I don't think I have a whole lot of time, so I'll make it very quick. Educational benefits exclusive to school districts K through 12. We also own our parent companies and our sister companies. We have a TPA. We do self-funded health insurance in-house here in Lafayette, have done it for 30 years. We also have a commercial side that we do all of the administrative services, where it's payroll, it's onboarding, it's ACA, all of the different things, Flex, COBRA. The ACA is the Affordable Care Act. We do compliance testing. We do all of that in-house, and we don't outsource it. Our enrollers are W-2. Now, in some cases, I'm not going to say that we don't have to use 1099 employees when we have to fill the seats, but we have 25 W-2 employees that work for us. They don't receive commissions for a reason. We want to make sure that the same cafeteria workers, parapros, bookkeepers, school teachers, everybody are treated the same. And when we make sure that they get educated on the benefits and they're not sold a bunch of products. So that being said, we've been in this business for a long time. We obviously do a good job, or we wouldn't have the market share that we do. But we also understand, as a payroll vendor,
We understand from the business side how we need to make sure that our EDIs connect with Blue Cross, they connect with all the different carriers, so that our technology platform makes it simple for your administrative staff. So all that being said, we are a full service brokerage agency. We write just about every single carrier there is out there, and we put them on a spreadsheet, and we figure out which one has the best, and then we go back and we get a national offer from them that gives us higher guarantee issue so that your employees don't have to go through a bunch of questions. And on top of that, as a commercial broker, to answer your question, we actually already build out and feed health insurance in our total package. We do that in Louisiana, Mississippi, Texas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas. This is not a starter kit. We do this already. And so building out those fees and knowing the COBRA, we do COBRA in-house. So all of that is tied to our platform to try to streamline it and bring the best price we can to your school district. So 2 minutes left or 2 minutes done? Okay, and trying to think of anything else that I didn't answer as in relations to what you'd asked. We have, like I said, we have our own W-2 employees that manage and enroll in school districts. We can facilitate your schools. As you know, we do Little Rock School District. We do school districts in Oklahoma. We do school district in Mississippi. Louisiana is a place that we want to, that obviously we want to go because we have an office here. So it makes all the sense in the world to do it. We do every state, I mean every city along the border school district there. So that being said, we would love to have the opportunity to serve y'all and try to give you better products, better service, and help your school employees out getting better education on the products that they buy with their own money. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You still had a minute. All right. Next up will be Employee Resource Group. Is anyone here from Employee Resource Group? All right. Next up would be Freeman Insurance and Risk Management.
Good afternoon. First, I'd like to just congratulate school system. I think you guys were recently upgraded. Hello. Here we go. Very good. I'll start from the beginning. First of all, I'd like to congratulate system on the recent upgrade with the credit rating upgrade. Second, my name is Blaze Freeman. Agency is Firm Group Agency. I'm here to just kind of give you guys maybe a different look. We are a little different than the rest of the guys in the room. We are 100% local. What I mean by that is our office is local. We're on the corner of Rue Beauregard and College Saloon. Our team lives and resides 100% in Lafayette and or the surrounding areas. We've got a full staff of customer service reps as well as enrollment specialists. So I just kind of felt like this was a real good fit for our team. To answer some of the questions, yes, we're local. We're somewhat of a hybrid firm. We're a full-line brokerage as well as an enrollment team and enrollment service. For as far as the system, you got a lot of systems out there. Some are similar, some perform better than others, and we would definitely put you guys in place with, we can continue this system you're on and move forward with it, or put another system in place, all of which would work well with the current payroll process. we are affiliated with all the carriers that you're currently doing business with, and would shop them out as well. Full compliance, we offer COBRA services, flexible spending account, dependent daycare, all the things that you guys have in place, and we can also facilitate anything you'd want in the future. Wanted to touch on a few of the pain points, I think, and I went back, thank God for the internet, but I went back and watched the recording of the last meeting, and some of the heartburn was employees pressured during orientations, maybe a lack of professionalism by the current broker in place, overselling and or overlapping coverages as it pertains to the short-term and long-term disability. Those weren't collaborating real well. And then the last was a local representation where apparently they didn't establish. I believe local stands for where the corporation is headquartered. So our entity, our whole firm, we're here in Lafayette. So my whole team is amongst you guys. We live, work, send our kids to school, and we're here. Now, that being said, we've got a very tenured team, especially on the enrollment side. Every one of my enrollers has 10+ years in the voluntary benefit space. So we are highly professional from a execution standpoint. Back to the system that we would suggest would definitely be able to self-enroll, but I don't think you guys are there yet where that switch has been turned on from a self-enroll perspective. So that leaves it back to, hey, some boots on the ground, and that's the one thing we have. Measured it on the way up here. I'm 1.8 miles from this office, and we've got a full staff of people ready to take care of a client such as yourself. So hope I've addressed all the questions and points. I'll be pretty brief. I got a full presentation for you to view, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next up, Taylor and Sons.
Jeff's just going to take a second and pass out some information. It's exciting reading. First of all, I'd like to start by thanking everybody for the invitation to come present today. We appreciate that very, very much. My name is Kevin Thompson. I work with Taylor and Sons. I'm with Jeff Taylor. His mom and dad actually founded the organization, started back in 1958. Becky Johnson is here with me as well. She's our senior account manager. Together we would collectively, along with our team, provide all the services that you're looking for here in your school system. Taylor & Sons, like I indicated, has been around since 1958, specializing primarily in school districts in Louisiana. We have payroll relationships with over 37 school districts in the state. We insure over 25,000 public school employees here in the state of Louisiana. We're very, very, very experienced in the state of Louisiana dealing with educators. We also do school systems in other states as well. We are based out of Hammond, Louisiana. We are totally independent. We work for you. We don't work for an insurance company. Our job is to work for our client and represent them in the marketplace. As far as the benefit menu is concerned, we also have relationships with all of the carriers that are currently in place. It would be an easy transition relative to that. As was indicated earlier, I've been to the website as well, taken a look at your current benefit menu. I feel very, very confident that we'll be able to bring some improvements to the benefits, both from an underwriting standpoint, a pricing standpoint, and a benefit standpoint in terms of what the employees would have access to. Once we go through that process, our enrollment team is paid per diem or salaried. None of them are paid commissions. So we've had that model since inception. It works very, very well. In fact, we provide training for our employees to help the employees make good, sound financial decisions and be smart spenders of their money. So we don't want them to buy what they don't need or buy more than what they need. Okay, so all of our benefits counselors are trained to be able to conduct those one-on-one interviews with the staff to help them make good decisions with their financial employee benefit that they need to buy. We also have the ability to conduct self-enrollment, online self-enrollment. We can also do call center enrollment. My suggestion would be that, there's a combination put together, okay, so that there's some one-on-one enrollment involved, as well as an integrated call center approach that can be a co-browsing, as well as a self-enrolled approach. Now, some of that takes time, and once a relationship is established and with the employee group, and they become familiar with the process, then there may be more people that will be interested in a call center option to enroll as opposed to a one-on-one or even a self-enrolled where someone's got what they need, they feel like they're good, they can make a phone call or get online and do it themselves as a self-enrolled. Now, all of that would be tied to our benefits portal. It's a customized benefit portal that we would build and provide for you. The access to the call center would be through there. Also, access to the self-enrolled system would be through there. They would also have access to that 24/7. So anytime they wanted to look at the benefit they've got, they'd be able to do that. They could interact with Flex Made Easy, which is a wholly owned subsidiary, handles all of our administration for our Flex Spending accounts. Administratively, the administrators will be able to get online as well and provide some support to them, the group administratively through that system. Technology-wise, that's our technology. We are not relying on any insurance company for that technology. So when it comes to the benefit menu, there is no reliance on any particular carrier from any pressure standpoint to be in a position to have to provide a certain carrier. And that's important down the road. There may be things that happen from time to time, maybe there's some claim payment issues or some service issues, or maybe there's just frankly a better plan that's available somewhere 2 or 3 years down the road that you might want to introduce. Well, sometimes if that insurance carrier is tied to the enrollment system or some other facet of the phase of implementation and delivery, it's very hard to make that change. We're totally independent. We work for you, okay? As far as getting back to your questions, we do have a local office, 102 Rue Iberville Lane. We are a true full-service broker. We can interface with the Alio payroll system, and we do offer the self-enrollment component as well. Customer service is huge. Most of the accounts that we've had for 20 years or longer. And I think everyone here in the room would agree you don't keep that business that long without doing a great job on customer service. I'm not saying we're perfect, because we're not. But we are attentive, we respond, and we help. From a customer service standpoint, your employees will be able to call. They could go to the benefits portal, get some service that way. They can also call our office. Guess what's going to happen? Someone's going to answer the phone. It's not going to be an answering system saying press 1 for this, 2 for that, 3 for that. One of our customer service folks answers the phone. The enrollment system, our technology, which is the backbone of our agency, we immediately pull that person up in the system. So we know exactly what they've got for coverage. We know who their dependents are, everything. So in a matter of seconds, we're typically in a position to provide that individual that's made that phone call, because they're not calling to say hello, they're calling because they need help. They get help right away. We also are prepared to offer you a full-time employee on your staff on our payroll that can be housed here and work with you on a day-to-day basis, if need be. That's something we could talk about. We also are in a position down the road, if healthcare becomes part of the conversation, we're in a position to provide some support in that regard as well. We also do EDI fees to carriers. That's something it's included. COBRA administration is part of our package as well. So that's the best I can do in a kind of compressed time frame. We got a whole long presentation ready for you. We'll do that tomorrow night, and we look forward to some questions. And thank you for having us here today.
You're welcome, sir. Thank you. Okay, I think the next phase will be questions that we have. Mine's almost done. Do we want to ask a specific question of a specific company, or?
I know I'm going to have some questions here. And I mean, most of my questions are going to be for everybody.
Okay.
So I don't know how you want to.
Well, why don't you
manage
just
that.
start? I'll be right back. Go ahead, sir.
You want to do it in alphabetical order, just like they were.
Yeah.
Okay. So, first of all, thank you all for being very timely with your presentations. The main reason that I believe that, well, I know the main reason that we have a time limit is because, first of all, this is a public meeting, so everyone's in here, everyone can hear presentations. This is not behind closed doors, right? This is being recorded. This can be reviewed. But we wanted to make sure that everyone had the same amount of time, no more, no less, unless you chose to take less. And we also didn't want it to become outside of the lines of what the school system's looking for. I don't want to rehash the last meeting, but I do want to say that we've had challenges. We've had challenges in other aspects of our organization as well, and I think we've been able to manage most of those by being deliberate, focusing on organizations and companies who can provide most services in-house as possible, as opposed to spreading it around. Our 403B plan, for example. I mean, we had a bad situation and we had to make a tough decision, but we made it. Let's go with a firm who can handle it all. And that's what we're looking to do here. We're looking to be respectful to our employees. We're looking to provide tremendous value to our employees. That is the most important thing. Number one, tip top. We kept the time short and sweet because we all realized that most of you, if not all of you, do the same thing. You provide the same service. Your company gets a commission. How you pay your employees is very important to us, because if we've got a commission agent sitting in front of an employee versus a salaried agent, it's just a huge difference in how they present themselves. But you all get paid the same as a firm, and I believe that most of you all provide a lot of the same services. So this is going to boil down to, for me, this is going to boil down to several things. Being local, truly local. Being able to handle every aspect of what Ms. Mona and the questions that we're going to ask of what we've already outlined to you tonight. So that's very important. With all of that said, I do have a couple of questions, and I'd like to ask it of each of you, if that's okay. Especially since we've done really good on time so far. I would like to start, I believe it was Dupree Carrier that went first in partnership with Arthur Gallagher. If a representative or representatives of that company can come forward. My first question for now is, I guess what I'd like you to do is please talk about what we can expect in the way of customer service from you, from an administrative perspective, okay, as well as an employee's perspective. Again, customer service is our number one thing. Every one of you is going to get up here tonight and tell us how wonderful your customer service is. We don't doubt it, but we want specifics. We have a very short time frame to do a whole lot, and then I'll have follow-up questions after that. If you'll go first.
I'm going to let Walter take a little bit of this, but I first want to say that, you know, the customer service starts from the very beginning of the exploratory process to the install, you know, to then getting out and talking to the employees. I agree with one fella in the room, and that is that you can have a self-serve portal, but you need to wrap yourself around them with some one-on-one enrollers and also with some group meetings. Our back unit disqualify us, but there's a couple of things that we don't do. We don't do COBRA administration, and we do not do HSA or FSA administration. We believe that COBRA and HSA administration are better served by banks, and we think that they integrate well with the carriers from the standpoint of electronic feeds. So I want to be clear on that. Every other service we handle in-house, but we think that Blue, for example, has a partner with HSA Bank. We think they do a good job. We don't want to compete with that. From a service perspective, this is Walter Sprang. My name is Melody Terrell. I apologize for not introducing myself, but Walter can take it here from what happens as it relates to an enrollment. and engagement with the employee.
And I'll keep it brief. Our customer service model around voluntary benefits is very specific at Gallagher, so we have a full account management team that's all they do is provide customer service on the employer and employee level. So at the school board level, we would be engaged to handle all negotiations, issues, administrative, billing challenges, and so on as it pertains to administering the different plans with the different carriers that we represent. There's over 40 carriers that we work with now. So we handle that, as well as having assigned a voluntary benefits account manager to handle employee claims as well. So right down to the claims level, we assist with all of that versus allowing anyone to contact a carrier on a direct basis. Do you want to talk about the Benefit Advocate Center?
That was just the 2 minutes we didn't talk about. That I can't stop. Okay, there we go. I'm sorry.
Benefit Advocate Center, we have a center basically that's a call center, and we can have the employees call into that on a 24/7 basis. They again can dial into the system and see exactly what the benefits are, so they can answer those questions in real time regarding their elections and also in regards to the plans that you've set up.
Regarding enrollment, face-to-face, online?
Face-to-face, online. We have a proprietary portal. So again, we're not connected to any one particular insurance company. It's a portal that you would use that would connect to your HRIS system.
And all of these options are available this year?
This year, for this enrollment in October.
Thank you. I'd like everybody to answer that question.
I just have a couple questions on the locality issue. It sounds like the individuals who've spoken tonight are all part of Gallagher. So explain to me the partnership with Dupuy from Opelousas.
Not a problem at all. 8 years ago, Dupuy Carey got y'all sold their employee benefits department, their book of business, to Arthur J. Gallagher. So any time that they market, sell, implement, service employee benefits, it's through the partnership arrangement of Arthur J. Gallagher. So the employees that would be servicing this account would be Arthur J. Gallagher employees. However, some of your representation would be coming from DCG because we do work collaboratively with them. So they would share in some of the commissions or the fee structure that's set up.
And the Gallagher employees who would be servicing the account, where are they housed?
Well, your enrollers are not going to all come from Lafayette. But I would suspect, based on this size, that the enrollers would be per diem employees, and we would also probably at every school location have a Gallagher representative with them. So as they enroll, you would have an account manager who would be overseeing those enrollments. So let's say you have 45 locations, then we would basically put people, boots on the ground, Gallagher account managers that wouldn't necessarily be that would be servicing your account on a long-term basis, because the enrollers are employees basically that kind of come and go.
All right, and y'all talked about your higher ed niche earlier, but how many K-12 schools or systems do you service?
I don't know. I can definitely provide that information to you. I can tell you, yeah, I will definitely get that information to Mona, and I'll break it out by Louisiana.
Okay, thank you.
So my questions, I'm sorry. Okay, so my question, just kind of going through all of the companies, revolved around talking about what we can expect. Again, customer service, specific customer service issues. Let me see my bullet points. From an administrative perspective as well as an employee's perspective. So if you want to call the next one up.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Educational benefits would be next.
I need more paper.
Keep those questions, Dawn. Keep those same questions. Why don't you refresh them also, Mr. Hidalgo?
I just did. Talk about what we can expect as a district in the way of customer service. So from an administrative perspective, from an employee's perspective, again, specific. We know everyone provides the best customer service in the world. We'd like specific information.
So I'm going to start out on the administrative side because I didn't go into detail and I should have on that. And our benefits admin team, so we have a benefits admin team that builds out benefit admin systems. We don't use one or our own proprietary system because we feel like if we did, we would be behind the times before we knew it. Not that that's applicable to anybody in this room, but at the same time, we use 3 different systems depending on your company needs. Some are more sophisticated than others. Some have more robust reporting. Some are more applicable to health insurance than they are voluntary benefits. And so what we know in the school market, though, is there's a few systems that are very applicable to voluntary benefits that are specific to individuals. So when we use products like that, we have a system that we would suggest that you use, but we don't demand that you use it. That being said, we have 15 to 16 employees today that all they do is build out benefit admin systems. So that's all they do. And then on top of that, we have enrollers. Like I said, we have roughly 25 to 30 salary W-2 enrollers that actually work for us, and all they do is enroll, and they get paid salaries, not commissions. Now, in cases like this, we would bring in enrollers, probably local enrollers, but we would get it on advice from Skip Kovac. Because Skip's been in this district before selling dental insurance and doing customer service in this district for employees here before. Skip's been doing employee benefits in the school market for 33 years in this area. So the one thing that we know is we know that Skip knows who are the best enrollers that we can use. That's why we brought Skip on. And so as far as the customer service administratively goes, we have a billing department. Karen James runs the billing department. We have 8 employees that all they do is billing. We can do a consolidated bill. We're a TPA. But we don't, because we feel it's better to actually separate them by grouping so that if one of the bills is not perfect, it doesn't hold up any of the payment of anything. But we reconcile all the bills in-house. We built a tool specifically for the purpose of taking a carrier file, an employee file, a benefit admin system file, and a payroll file, and meshing them together, and it gives us a discrepancy report. That's what we pay attention to because we know from a standpoint of a school districts, they don't have the ability to keep hiring administrative staff to do that. So that is one of our biggest focus. The other part of it is we do COBRA in-house because we are TPA. So we do self-funded health insurance as a third-party administration firm. So we do COBRA as a necessary consequence. We also do the 1095 reporting. We do the 1094. We do it in-house. We have an IRS code to file it on your behalf. So all of these things we do to try to make it more administrative easily for you. Most of our schools are one-on-one enrollment. The reason is because that's the way it's always been. On the commercial side, we don't do one-on-one enrollment in most of our commercial groups because they want to do self-enroll, or they want to do a call center where somebody can look at a computer screen and they can enroll over the phone with somebody whenever they want to. But that's not up for us to decide. That's up for y'all to decide because they're your employees. So from a customer service standpoint, we have a 1-800 number. You call one phone number as an employee and you talk to live people. If you have an escalated issue, Skip Kovac will be at this school district and he will take care of that employee, and he's done it for 33 years. Anything I didn't address?
I have the same questions. I think you told us earlier that you do have a local office on Ridgeway and that you have 3 employees.
Yes, ma'am.
Housed there, and if you got this account, that would be their focus, this account?
Absolutely. Skip Kovac would be dedicated to this school district. He would be your main point of contact. He would be the single point of contact for Mona, her team, and then the employees.
Okay. And then how many K-12 systems does Educational Benefits currently service?
I believe it's around 160 school districts and roughly 50,000 employee lives, and it's only K through 12.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Next up will be Employee Resource Group. Is that the one that wasn't here?
Yeah, they're not here.
Freeman Insurance and Risk Management.
I think it was Mr. Freeman, right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Correct.
So the please talk about what we can expect in the way of customer service, very specific information from an administrative perspective and from the employee's perspective. That was my question.
Sure, I'd be happy to. From a customer service perspective, basically we would, we roll out the red carpet for you guys. You guys are a sought after account. That's why the room's full. So we roll out the red carpet. We would dedicate a customer service rep at my office. I wouldn't feel the need to bring it in-house to you guys when I can house them and we're right around the corner here. I would actually put my best customer service rep on this case and dedicate her to you guys for that piece. But I think that goes a little bit further. We're housed there, so I'm there 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. We would offer the Lafayette Parish school system an open door policy. Employees can come by. They can check on a claim. They can walk in. We can sit in the conference room and discuss any needs they might have, or questions or concerns. And to kind of repeat it, I think it goes a long way. The people who will be enrolling this case are at that office as well. You can sit with the person you visit with the person you spoke with. From a compensation standpoint, I would pay our enrollment team a flat fee to handle the case from start to finish, which I guess would be somewhat of salary based. And I understand the concern with commission enrollers. At the end of the day, everyone in the room is a commission broker. That's how we're comped. But the piece from the enrollers being commissioned, I think the focus, the effort here would be to try to police the overselling. I believe your moral compass guides you on what an employee should or shouldn't be, setting up as deductions out there, check, and that shouldn't be more than they can afford, and nothing should be pushed on them. So, from a service perspective, we'll roll out the red carpet, give you specific service needs, give you specific people, and I personally will make sure that this account is handled like no other. And I think the last question was how many school systems? 0. My previous background was working for a carrier for the last 20 years. I opened up an insurance agency and enrollment team in 2016. And during those 20 years, I've been involved in coordinating or having a part in several school systems through a broker or through an agent. So I have plenty of experience with both the public and the private sector, to be honest with you. But currently we serve a 0, which probably the minority in the room, but that might be a plus because we can give you a lot of attention, and I think that's what you're looking for.
Earlier, I don't know if you mentioned you cannot do, or it would take quite some time to do self-enroll.
Yeah.
Did I hear correctly?
Well, no. The self-enroll piece, you guys currently haven't flipped that switch on. You're not there. Whatever system you go on, pretty much they're all going to be able to self-enroll. I think right now you guys, and we can definitely accomplish that. The current system.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I guess my question is, the current system is, the current system's gone. We're not going to have the current system. We're looking for a new system.
Yeah, that platform can.
Your system.
That platform can. We third party the systems, so we have several options for systems. The one you currently have is a solid system, and I don't think the problem is the system. The problem is the service. So yeah, we can definitely accommodate it from a system standpoint and the service aspect. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Next is Taylor and Sons.
Sir, would you like me to repeat my question?
Absolutely.
Okay, so it was along the lines of talking about specifically what can we expect in the way of service to our employees, customer service to our employees, and as well as from an administrative perspective.
Yep, excellent. let me start on the administrative side of the coin. Our goal is to reduce the workload for the administrative folks relative to the benefits package. And we can accomplish that in a number of different ways. We do consolidated billing. We reconcile the invoices. We interact with all the carriers. If a salesperson calls on you from time to time, you can feed them right to us. We'll vet them. If they have something we feel is important or different, we bring it attention and talk about it. Also, through the customer service that we provide to the employees, and once the employees start to realize they're going to get the help they need, the goal would be to minimize the employee contact calling the HR office for, what do I have for coverage? Or, can you get me a claim form, that type of thing. And we accomplish that with our call center in our office. We've got a full customer service staff, an account manager that would totally be assigned to this case. As I indicated before, we do have an office space here in Lafayette. We are fully prepared to staff that as needed. If we're gracious, if you award the contract to us. We also would like to talk about possibly having an in-house employee here. We do that with a few of other districts that would be on our payroll. She or he could work in this district for whatever number of days you felt would be appropriate. And that's an on-site customer service location that has been very, very well received in the districts that we've done that. The goal for the employee is to provide them with customer service that they can count on. As I indicated earlier, when they call our office, they're going to get a person to answer the phone. Our enrollment system, we have all the data that we need. We immediately pull that person up, or whoever answers the phone, or feeds it to the person that's going to handle it. Typically within minutes, we've got that situation resolved. It might be, hey, I need to add my kid, or I need to, change my spouse, or I need to, I've got a problem with a claim, or whatever it happens to be. But we're totally geared towards customer service, and I think our track record is an excellent example of that. And that's the bell. Follow up, go ahead.
You mentioned in both presentations tonight that you have a local office, but just now you mentioned you have a local office and you would staff it as needed. Do you have a local office with staff or just a local office?
We have a local office currently, and then pending the decisions here, we are prepared to staff it. We've already identified some individuals that would staff that. Some of our people from Hammond would actually relocate and be here. The enrollment staff, we've already made some inquiries and started to build the enrollment team. We have our own existing enrollers in-house. Some of those people would be involved in the implementation process, and we've also already began building additional enrollment support with people that live right here in the parish. So we would be, as soon as the green light happens, we're ready to go. We'll have a full presence here in an office building. We can walk-in service there, open door policy, and also, depending on how the district feels, be ready to staff a person in-house on a whatever frequent basis you thought would be necessary.
All right, so you answered the locality question. How many K-12 systems does your business currently service?
Nationwide, we have about 75. Here in Louisiana, we have 35, ensuring over 25,000 Louisiana employees.
Okay, thanks.
Many of the people that work for us are former public educators too, by the way. Okay. Many of the enrollers that we work with are former teachers or former involved in the process. In fact, Becky Johnson, our senior account manager, was Teacher of the Year in Tangible Hill Parish School Board. I'm not sure how many years ago that was, but not that many. Bottom line is, we develop great relationships with our clients to the point where some of them, when they retire, would like to come back and work with us and go deliver for their peers the interaction that we're talking about. Any other questions? Good? Great, thank you.
Any other questions?
I got a lot of them. I'm trying to figure out how to consolidate them. If I could ask Ms. Mona to come up, please. Ms. Bernard, we've had a lot of discussions as a board over the past several years regarding insurance, and I'm talking about voluntary benefits at this point, of course. However, I see in your outline tonight, you talked about several bullet points, one of which was we anticipate in the future that we may need services or we may add enrollment in the medical plan. It's not part of of voluntary benefits. However, the service would be an added value. What do you mean by that? You said something along the lines that we may add enrollment in the medical plan as part of services, so that the data could be sent to both Blue Cross Blue Shield, who we deal with now, providing we continue to deal with them, and all of the companies under the voluntary benefits. Can you just elaborate a little bit on that?
Yes, in conferring with the staff in my office, they have expressed an interest in that to assist them in the open enrollment. And also employees have asked, can't we do this online? Do we have to meet with someone? And the medical piece, as you're talking about, that would be helpful to our staff to have another avenue for them to enroll, as opposed to having a line, out the door in open enrollment. It'd be nice to have that option. So they would just be enrolling and transmitting that data to Blue Cross and us.
You also mentioned that the company that we would want to do business with must have enough enrollers to cover all schools during the 8 weeks of open enrollment. We have 4,100 plus eligible employees. Do I have that right?
That's right.
And we have 42, 45. I don't know where we are these days. We're building 45 school sites. What is enough? What is an adequate amount?
Well, I would expect that there be enough enrollers to handle like 5 to 6 schools apiece, if you will.
One enroller per school?
Per 5 or 6 schools. And then
wow.
You divide them up. So you'd need about 10, 12, I guess, enrollers.
Okay.
10. That's what I would expect.
It seems like customer service first, technology platform, being able to integrate with our systems. Second, what would run a third?
Okay, you said
customer service, number 1.
Platform integration.
Yeah.
Third would just be collaborating with us in planning open enrollment and in solving any issues that come up during the year.
President, I'm reading my notes. I'm sorry. All right.
Ms. Morris?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to go ahead and make a motion or a recommendation to recommend to the full board that the board select the educational benefits company to administer the voluntary benefits for the school system.
I'm going to ask Mr. Hidalgo to take the gavel for a minute. You act as the chairman, because I want to second her motion.
Okay.
But not as chairman.
All right. And and the reason everybody, no doubt all of the companies here are outstanding. There's some pros and cons for the purposes that we need from all of them. Gallagher, I've heard the Gallagher name for years. It's outstanding. You don't provide some of the services we need. I don't have any information about your K through 12 systems, and it's really not local. And locality is an important issue for me. Educational Benefits and Taylor & Sons both have extensive experience in K through 12 systems, and on that I'm just looking at the sheer numbers. One of them had 160 school districts, the other had 75. I think Educational Benefits is probably more local. The Taylor & Sons, they already have an office currently, and they have local people here. Taylor & Sons is offering to bring people here. And then Freeman, your firm sounds fantastic, but I just don't think you have the experience for the size of the program that we currently have, and that's why I'm recommending Educational Benefits for the board.
So, Ms. Morris, thank you. You jumped a little bit ahead. So the motion is that the board insurance committee select Educational Benefits to provide the administration of voluntary benefits and to serve as broker of record for said benefits for the consideration of the full board. That is the official language with your recommendation in it. Can you please read it and make sure that's correct?
I think that I would start off with that the Board Insurance Committee recommend that the full board select educational benefits. I think you just need to put that language at the beginning of your sentence to make it clear. That the Board Insurance Committee recommend that the full board select educational benefits. So can you just flip those words around a little bit in the motion? And you can get rid of the last part of it where it says for the consideration of the full board.
We're going to have public comment in a minute. Yes, ma'am. You'll be happy to. We'll be happy to allow you to come up and speak in a minute. Yes, ma'am. So we have a motion by Ms. Morris, and we have a second by Mr. Angel. So that's the official protocol. At this time, we are going to call for public comment. This is not a board meeting. It is a committee meeting. So we are going to ask that we don't have public questions, if we can help it. We're going to ask for public comment. The reason we do that is because we've asked the questions. I know that I'm sure board members will have additional comments as well. And if board members have, if committee members have additional questions, I would encourage them to ask those questions at the proper time. At this time, we'd like to call for any public comment on the motion. The motion is that the Board Insurance Committees recommend to the full board that educational benefits provide the administration of voluntary benefits and to serve as broker of record for said benefits. Thank you, sir.
And just
Yes.
I'm sorry, just as a reminder, I know there's the Employee Insurance Committee version of this next week as well, and I'm sure that you can all do your presentations there as well, because my appreciation is that this recommendation and the employee insurance recommendation will probably both be presented to the board for action.
Yep. Yes, ma'am. If you could, just please state your name and your comments. If you could press the button.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Gail Adams. I'm the state manager in Louisiana for First Financial, and I do have one comment to the motion. I think the motion has been made with misrepresentation and false accusations with First Financial, and I'm asking if there will be a time that I can provide the correct information to you that we were falsely accused of at the board meeting.
The motion says nothing about First Financial, ma'am. I appreciate your I appreciate your comments. Your comments must pertain to the motion. There is not going to be a time for just public bloviation. There will be a time for you to address the motion. This is your opportunity. But this says nothing about First Financial. In fact, you're the first person here tonight to bring it up. If you do not have comments pertinent to the motion at hand, I'll ask that the next gentleman come up.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, the next gentleman is the CEO of First Financial, and I respectfully disagree. First Financial's name was not brought up. However, it was insinuated. And from your last,
I'm sorry, sir.
From your last board
you
meeting,
can respectfully, excuse me.
Okay.
You can respectfully disagree.
Okay.
However, I am the chairman of this committee. If your comments are not directed toward the motion at hand, I'm going to ask you to keep them directed. Anyone is able to come up here and direct it toward the motion. We are not going to get off a track. If you'd like to do this, maybe the next committee meeting will allow it. This committee will
or
allow
the
it.
next board meeting coming up next week.
You are certainly welcome to come up. I am not the chairman of the board. I will tell you, you will probably get the same recommendation to stick to the motion at hand at the board meeting, but you are absolutely welcome to come to any public meeting. This is a public meeting.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Ma'am, did you want to?
I just wanted to make a clarification.
Whenever, yes, ma'am.
Just a question.
Public comment. Shoot.
Public
Go ahead.
comment
Shoot.
that's not a question. What, Dawn? Phrase this comment. representing the Employee Insurance Committee. Even though this committee has made their recommendation, the presentations that several of the committees said they were going to make, will those be, I hope those will be allowed to be seen at the Employee Insurance Committee. They might be interested in those. And also as to First Financial, if they want to come, that's fine. We'll hear whoever wants to come.
Great. Thank you so much. Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to make a comment regarding maybe miscommunication. We did email to find out how many public sector clients we had. Scott, I believe you said it was 266, and it represents 3-point-something% of our growth. I also would like to make a comment, and I apologize, but we have 6 employee benefit specialists in Lafayette at 900 East St. Mary Street. I have one with me, Brenda Sturgis. We have another lady, Cindy Como, who represented the school board many, many moons ago and was very excited about the opportunity of being able to be a dedicated person for you guys for the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a quick comment. You mentioned that we might not be experienced to kind of take on this case. Voluntary benefits is what we do. It's all of our experience. We probably have the most tenured enrollment team and broker with regards to specifically for voluntary benefits. So the stage is definitely not too grand for me and my team. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Angel.
Before we vote, I'd like to make a couple of comments. First of all, this is a personal comment I want to make. You really helped out a very dear friend of mine who was in a very grave medical condition in Destin, Florida, and you put, I think, maybe her children and relatives on a plane to meet with her. It was touch and go for a minute, and I want you to know she relayed that to me, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I also want to commend everyone for coming tonight, and I know we're trying to stick to the point, but stick to the motion and stick to the discussion. But that's the nature of what the public meeting is. I want to remind everyone that, as Ms. Mounts mentioned, that there's going to be another similar meeting here with the Employee Benefits, the Employees Themselves Committee. And of course, everyone is invited to participate in that discussion forum as well. Do we have any other comments? Yes?
Yes. I guess this is a good time for me to hand this back. I too want to, well, first of all, while I was chair there for just a couple of minutes, I want everyone to know that I, first of all, appreciate all of you coming out and presenting to us tonight. As I stated earlier, this is going to boil down to service, technology, integration, relationships. This is what this is about. You all are in the insurance business. You all are in the relationship business. You know that. I'm preaching to the choir. As chairman, my job, which I take very seriously, is to stick to the motion at hand. I've been this way for 4 years. It's not going to change between now and next December when my term is over. So I thank you for the respect that you all have given tonight. This is a motion. We haven't voted on it yet. We're about to in a minute. I'm going to tell you how I feel about what I've heard tonight and about my experience as a former insurance producer and Series 6 license holder for many years. I'm going to reiterate, I'm going to repeat, it's going to be redundant. Relationships, service, and technology. That's very important to the school system. We have more than 4,100 employees that have to be enrolled. We have had complaints, we have had service issues, some of which nothing is going to be perfect. I realize that, and I know everyone realizes that. But we're at the point where we are looking to try to do what's best for the employees. We want the most benefit, the most bang for their buck. Dupre Care Godshaw, thank you again, in my opinion, for being here. I feel like there are lots of hands in the pot on this. I believe in the local presence that you all spoke about, so I may differ a little bit from Ms. Morris on that. Local is very important to me. It doesn't run first, but it will be a tiebreaker for me. I believe in local business. We need COBRA and Flex Admin. We don't want to have to pay separate for that service. We want it to be integrated into the plan. Taylor & Sons, I actually heard you present before. You did a wonderful job again tonight, just like you did before, and we thank you. I believe in local service. I realize you have an office. We have another company that we deal with who has an office and no one's in it. That is not a local presence for us. We appreciate everyone, of course, after they get the $1 million lotto, will provide whatever it takes, but we're looking for what we have boots on the ground now. Freeman Insurance, I was very, very impressed with your presentation. Sounds like the service would be spot on. I am concerned with the technology or lack thereof, however you want to look at it. I am concerned with the ability to mobilize. What I like most about educational benefits is that you have a huge number of school districts. You have, it sounds like you have a pretty significant local presence, but you also have a resource who I'm familiar with, Skip. And so this is it's uncomfortable for me as it is for you tonight to sit here and talk about this in an open meeting. It's my job. That's what I'm doing. So I am as well going to support the motion.
If there's no more discussion, then I'll call for the vote. Can we just take a voice vote, Madam Secretary? Or? I don't think.
3 for, none against.
Motion carried. I don't think we have any. Do we have any other business? This meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.